Monday, everybody! Welcome to another edition of The Professor and the Pupil. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Professor, and Stephen Reichel is the pupil. Although he is a quick study, he blows me away on social media. I just have to give him a little bit of journalism 101, but that's why we go out there and have a good time. Man, we got Cyberuski. What the flip is going on? We're going on! And you know what, Cyberuski? You have some competition out there called Eddie Prather, my man. So you and Joshua Dorr better realize you need to engage in these chats and act and make sure you know what you're talking about, because that's one of the criteria. He says, I think Steve's professor. Yeah, he probably is when it comes to social media, no question about that. When it comes to the other stuff, well, TBD, but that's all right, Sabruski. If you're going to come up with a comment semi-intelligent, I'm okay with it, and I'll acknowledge it because I don't pretend to be perfect about anything. With that said, give you an overview of the show. Well, we got a lot of Philadelphia stuff. We're going to be doing some combat sports and all that sort of thing. So with that said, Stephen, without further delay, the Philadelphia Flyers have hired UFC middleweight Andre Petroski to teach the players how to fight, as well as Johnny Garbarino. Now, I got to give those Italian guys a little bit of love. What are your thoughts about maybe us creating the new Broad Street Bullies?
I think it's smart branding for both the Flyers, connecting with the Philadelphia fighters that are actually fighters in Philadelphia. Especially when you're going with the UFC fighter Andre Petroski and the BKFC fighter and Johnny the Cannoli Garbarino. And they call him the Cannoli because almost at every weigh-in since he's gotten the BKFC, he's been smacking the dudes at weigh-ins with the Cannoli. It's great stuff. But to the point at hand, it's smart for them to kind of bring in, professional fighters so they can kind of show just little tips and pointers. Obviously, hockey fighting and professional prize fighting are two totally different sports, but getting some pointers from your local professionals shouldn't hurt at all. As I was saying, there, great cross branding for both the athletes themselves and the Flyers. And if you're the athletes, like, hey, as long as they get some free tickets during their downtime and they can catch up, I'm sure they don't mind the trade off. Rubbing jerseys with the orange and black guys there. So it should be a fruitful relationship. But the overall theme is getting these guys that know how to fight, but also you want to bring in that old Broad Street Bullies attitude that's been sorely missed here in Philadelphia, over the last 20 years or so. The last time you've had that kind of connection was during the Lindros era. I mean, obviously you've had other tough guys here since then. Donald Brashear, Keith Primo was pretty nasty here during his heyday as well. But it's fun to kind of see this kind of cross promotion, getting the fighters mixing in with the hockey players and showing them what's good and what's not.
Bring back Dave Schultz and Andre DuPont, the Moose. Got to bring those guys back, right? Dave Schultz is my all-time favorite. He really was.
Well, the Broad Street Bullies was at the Bare Knuckle Mania event. I was at the Xfinity Center back in January. So, I mean, you knew it was only a matter of time before the current players started mixing it up with some of these fighters. So, should be interesting. See what's learned, how the fights actually look out of the Flyers this year. We'll see.
And when the Philadelphia Flyers are fighting, people get interested. If you don't believe me, dated back to when the Russians lost. The Red Army team lost to the Flyers. I won't get into that tonight, but that was pretty interesting.
Let's not forget they ran them off the ice.
I remember that.
They were trying to quit.
Well, what it was
come
actually
back on the ice until they were told they weren't going to get paid for it, and then all of a sudden they wanted to finish the game.
Called Conflict on Ice, my friend. Remember Conflict on Ice? I actually have the DVD. Oh no, it's not a DVD. VHS tape. Conflict of Ice, and I actually ended up buying it when I was at the Philadelphia Spectrum, seeing the Bulls and the 76ers play. So Conflict on Ice, I'm sure you could probably get it somewhere. And that's when I was at, like I said, the Philadelphia Spectrum. Let's stay onto the fighting theme a little bit. Jake Paul is set to fight Tank Davis November 14th in Atlanta. In a boxing match, the contract, the weight, and the number of rounds TBD. What are your thoughts about this?
Hate it on every level.
Yeah.
At this point in time, the only thing we could trust Jake Paul in doing is finding somebody's name of relevance that is several weight classes below him, so he can be the bigger, stronger fighter when it comes down to it. The fact that the last fight that Tank Davis fought, he weighed in at 135 pounds. In Jake's last fight, he weighed in at 199, basically 200 pounds. So there's going to be a 75-pound difference between these two, and you wonder why it's an exhibition, not an actual sanctioned fight. Well, this is why right here. It's a circus act. It's a sideshow freak. To the real, actual boxing fans of the world, it's another slap in the face. I said it once. I'll keep sitting there saying, Jake is not, continually, not fighting guys his age, guys his weight, and beating up on the senior citizens. Obviously, this time he's not beating up on a senior citizen, but Jake's a master promoter, and I'll never take that away from him. I think there are things that he does bring to the table that boxing definitely sorely needed, but these type of fights ain't it. When you're having damn near 100-pound weight difference between you and your opponent from each of your last times in the ring is a slap in the face. He's going on there saying he's gonna kill David and then slay Goliath, meaning like he's gonna beat up on this guy and then fight one of the other higher weight guys. I think it's another sideshow. I mean, obviously, people are gonna tune in. It's gonna be free on Netflix. But I think for the actual boxing fans, no one really likes this. No one really cares, and everyone's going to be rooting for Tank to catch Jake on the chin clean once.
Fair enough. That's why I turn to you for these topics, because you're more well aware. I'll take your word for it. I think it probably will be.
Listen, Jake's a great promoter. We don't really know if he's a great boxer yet. And when he continues to make these matchups, you're going to continue to have people question him about it. He was calling out Anthony Joshua. He was calling out all these other people. There's been other guys that are at his weight class that have name values, etc., that's been calling him out. Now he's hiring lawyers that if anyone that says his fights are fixed, they're going to be slapped with some type of lawsuit. What does that tell you? I think that speaks for itself when everything's said and done.
Yeah, it sounds like to me if you got to hire lawyers to say your fights are fixed, and maybe they are. Maybe he needs a little psychology lesson from Sigmund Freud. I wonder if he knows who Sigmund Freud is. But I tell you what I do know. I know what a station break is, and Candy Ebling's going to give it to us. And I agree with you. It sounds like a circus to me, written all over it.
Yep.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morgenroth. And the foreword was written by another one of our contributors, not necessarily tonight, but George Eichhorn. Talks about Scott's 40-plus years in the media business and how media has changed and evolved over that time. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise, you can call Scott, 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to the program.
Yeah, and Steven, just to let you know what Candy's saying, when I mean guest, I'll tell you what I mean by that, because there's a guy who actually, his name is Andre Ramsey, who saw one of our shows on Inside the Pigskin. And actually, he's going to be a future guest on our show, and we talk about NIL and things like that. So I look forward to bringing Andre at a later date. And he approached us after the show and indicated, I'm not kidding. If I find somebody is reaching out to us and wants to talk about it, I won't hesitate to bring them on. It's just a matter of being able to get these people on and do what they have to do. So this this is anything but a gimmick. I'm serious. If you bring something to the table here, well, then let me tell you, you're going to be invited on. You can never find enough good quality talent, especially on any type of show that we contribute. And I'm all for it. So, everybody, if you have something to add to the show, don't hesitate to take us up on our offer because we will deliver. All right, so let's talk about COVID. A prime Evander Holyfield, the real deal. Could he defeat today's heavyweights? We talked about the Tyson Furies. We talked about Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk. I mean, let's face the reality. Evander Holyfield was a heck of a fighter in his prime. And obviously, we have to do is refer back to Mike Tyson as one of them. What are your thoughts about this? This one intrigued me.
Well, not just that. Like, he was also one of these guys. He wasn't the bigger heavyweight. You know, he had wars with Lennox Lewis and George Foreman and guys of that ilk. So I don't think some of these bigger guys would have really scared him off. And he just knew how to fight inside, where some guys, you know, they would shy away from that type of fighting. I think, you know, you put a 23, 24, 25-year-old Evander Holyfield in there, you know, with some of these top guys now, I don't think that there's much of a drop off, especially with, you know, him having access to the better training, the better coaching, the better facilities, because that's the biggest difference from now to then. If you ask me, it's just, you know, these guys having more access to things, you know, being able to cross train and work with this guy and work with that guy. I think it would have been invaluable for Evander, and I don't think there would have been this, or there would be a huge gap between him and the current heavyweights. I think, you know, Tyson Fury would have been fun to look at, but I think Evander would have chopped that tree down just like some of these other guys did. I mean, granted, you know, Tyson Fury's got an absolute granite chin, and it takes some of these best guys in the world to be able to get him out of there. So, you know, I think the real fight, the last guy you mentioned, Alexander Usyk, would have been the one matchup I would probably, you know, light it up in circle. We were just talking about Jake Paul. Let's have Evander not take Jake Paul off the chessboard, so to speak. It'd have been nice to see that. I mean, I think that, you know, he was the real deal in every sense of the word. You know, and regardless of errors, this is something we debate all the time. You know, how would Ali did in this age? How would Tyson do in this age? I think that I think we would all be pleasantly surprised how a lot of these guys' skills would transfer to today's boxing, because in reality there isn't a whole lot of big name guys out there, which is why boxing has been struggling to, you know, out promote, you know, the bare knuckles of the world, the UFCs of the world. And it's one of these things where they've created guys like Jake, that, you know, boxing needs a guy like him because they're not able to promote. You know, I think it's another major reason why we don't see boxing on terrestrial TV anymore. Why it's mainly on streaming apps. It's just the way how things have changed. It's gonna be interesting what the future holds for boxing. But I think Evander would have did plenty fine and probably been multiple time champion, things of that nature. But it would have been interesting to see.
Let me tell you, Evander Holyfield is just a smart fighter. He can adapt to any style. You already said that. I saw the guy in person. I also, believe it or not, Stephen, many years ago, met him at Super Bowl 33, and I talked to him. One of the smartest fighters I've ever seen in boxing history. And he faced the best. He never dodged an opponent, period. So all right, back to the chat room. All right, Joshua Door's in here, too. Good
stuff. Told you he was going to bring this up.
But yeah, he's sorry. He'd be proud of my actions on another channel. Said, Joshua Door, you're all right in my book. I'll leave it at that. Okay, you're all right in my book. All right, let's go back to the UFC again. But CEO Dana White charters a 377-foot AHPO for $2,800,000 a week. My goodness, that's a yacht, people, by the way. I don't mind that. Hey, look, Dana's going to go out there and live on one of those bad boys. More power to him. What do you think? What are your thoughts about his ride?
You gotta remember, he started out as a boxing instructor, teaching women's boxing in Boston, and had some issues. Wound up coming out to the West Coast, linking up with the Fertitta brothers, and they built the UFC off of Dana's ability to promote and get guys together. They've bought out how many different promotions on their way to build their doesn't the fact that he's literally sold his company 2 different times now, and now they just signed a $7.7 billion deal with Paramount Pictures. Why are you surprised that he's got one of the more expensive boats out there? I'm more, I'll always be pro fighter. I think the fighter should be getting more, and all that. Like, people are more upset about the Bills owner in $100 million yacht. Meanwhile, they're taking public funds public funds away from the fans to build their new stadium. People are more part about that. I'm sure there are people who are going to be upset at Dana sitting there saying he's not doing enough for his fighters. He just helped paid for part of Ben Askren's lung transplant when Ben hadn't been a UFC fighter for quite some time. Hasn't really been involved in anything UFC, but sometimes in a lot of these situations, people who do right by Dana takes care of them. He makes sure that they get the best doctors sent out. All these fighters after they fight in there, there's no problem with getting paid, getting surgeries taken care of when they're injured inside of the octagon. So him enjoying his personal life, Dana, whatever you earn through what you've done, you deserve to enjoy it. I know people were upset at him a few years ago when his wife had smacked him. He smacked her back. He was in a public place, and obviously, he took a lot of heat for that. But he's another one of these people. He's a rare human being who actually speaks what's on his mind. He doesn't wear a mask, regardless who's in the room, who he's talking to. You get 100% genuine Dana White, 110% of the time, and that doesn't happen this day and age in the media that we live in. How everything is done in the world. He's backed our president, which hurt him a lot of ways financially, both him personally and his company over the last 10 years or so. I don't think you should shy away from who helps you. So regardless if you're for the orange idiot that's in the office or not. So
right.
I don't have anything to be upset with Dana as far as enjoying the fruits of his labor, because he's one of these guys. His night doesn't end on a 9 to 5, and he doesn't expect that from his employees either. He's one of the few promoters along those lines where if you have your kid has a dance recital, they got soccer practice, go do what you have to do, then come back and come to work.
Right.
How many bosses go and say, take care of your family first? It doesn't happen this day and age. So as much as people want to tear Dana down for having this big old crazy gaudy yacht, live your life, my friend, because we only live it once.
First of all, let me tell you something, pal. The reason why I brought this topic up is I applaud the guy. Period. Number 2, I'll throw a little teaser out for tomorrow's edition of Inside the Pigskin. There will be a Dana White related topic on it. Stay tuned for Inside the Pigskin tomorrow night. So
I want to see how you're going to get that one on Inside the Pigskin, and let's see it.
Don't worry. Well, stay tuned. TBD to be determined. Dana White will be on tomorrow's edition of Inside the Pigskin. We will be talking about him. Last regular topic of the night before you go to your agenda. As of August 21st, since the All-Star break, the Phillies offense has put up solid numbers. Their average was 255, was ranked 7th. Their home runs are 52, which is second in MLB. And then runs tied for 5th at 155, and slugging 467 in 4th. OPS 781. Yeah, so let's say it's reality. The Phillies are putting bat on ball. What are your thoughts about their offense?
Listen, they have the third best record in baseball. At the moment, they're seven games up in their division with a series with the Mets coming right down. Where with one of the last two series with the Mets this season, where we could actually squeeze their throat so hard and could arguably lock up this division with almost 1 or 2 weeks left in the season in September. So the bats are there, the pitching's there, the bullpen's there. The question is, can they sustain it through October? Because the bats are what has let them down over the last few seasons, just disappearing at the wrong time. They say it's top heavy. You get your production out of Schwarber, out of Harper, but then everything kind of falls by the wayside. So yes, you do need production from JT Realmuto. You do need production from Trey Turner. Alec Bohm, Stott, all these guys, Nick Castellanos, all these guys have to stay consistent over these last 2 months of the season if they want to finally catch that championship that has eluded them over the past handful of seasons. Falling short to the Mets last season, falling short to the Diamondbacks the season before, falling short in the World Series to the Astros. They have to prove they're a championships team, and I think the fact that they are consistent. Harper is healthy. He is not trying to find his swing again after another significant injury. I think the biggest thing to note isn't the bats right now, is the fact that you just lost your ace for the next 6 to 8 months in losing to Zach Wheeler. But the fact that you shored up the bullpen, what we already talked about a few weeks ago, Alvarado coming back off of the ban list, to add to the bullpen, you adding a Johan Duran as your closer. They have a lot of pieces to sit there and say they're a championship team. The bats stay steady. The bats stay consistent. I think we could be looking at a November parade down Broadway here in Philadelphia. We still have to see it first before words and numbers make it into fruition.
Well, you said a lot of big names. Will be interesting to monitor. Something I want to announce here while we're here on the President of People. This is Saturday. I had an opportunity to catch up with my good friend Don Mattingly. Did a nice one-on-one interview with Don Mattingly. It is now released on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. It's 9 minutes long. So if anybody's on that channel, please subscribe. But Don Mattingly has been one of my good friends for a long time, and thanks to the Toronto Blue Jays setting it up, Don certainly went along with it because he knows we're good friends. He said, yeah, absolutely, I'll go ahead and talk to him. And he did it before a game. Don Mattingly, I love this guy. He's somebody I've been working with for a while, but we go back to the 80s, and for him to do it on game day on Saturday was unbelievable. So just released yesterday, Don Mattingly, my one-on-one interview with a should-be Hall of Famer. And I repeat, should-be Hall of Famer. Maybe one of these days it'll come to fruition, but I still believe he belongs in the Hall of Fame. So with that said, Don Mattingly is out on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. For everybody out there, baseball fans and not baseball fans, it's an interview where I go in depth about him, and one of the most humble human beings I've ever seen in my life. And he has a great heart to him, as we talked about his Don Mattingly charities as well. All right, getting that out there. Steve, let's talk about what's on your agenda for the coming week.
Well, I mean, obviously, tomorrow we're inside the pigskin. We're gonna get all the fellas together and have some fun with that. Obviously, Wednesday is always the fan in the end with me and Mr. Troop. As of right now, I do have a Real and the Rare scheduled for this coming Sunday. I'm going to be talking with Get Slept At Athletics co-owner Mr. Sean Keys. He's co-owner with that clothing brand with former UFC heavyweight champion Tim the Maniac Silva, and we're also going to be joined by one of his fighters. They're going to be dropping a new collaborative T-shirt. She's already been on the Real and the Rare with me. Just going to be hopping in there talking about her new T-shirt design with Sean and Get Slept. That Athletics should be a fun one. So make sure you guys are locked in for Sunday. It should be good stuff to kind of pick up on. And obviously we're going to continue to produce the fun content weekly here on the South Florida Tribune Media Network. Always working on bringing in some more people to collaborate with, as many athletes that want to hop on with us. We always want to talk to you, current, former, Hall of Fame level. Doesn't matter. There's no interview too big, too small here on the South Florida Tribune Media Network.
Yeah, I enjoy what you do with the other athletes. I think between both of us, I have a lot of the 4 major sports covered, although baseball is one of my big ones. Football, you do a good job with football, and you bring in boxing. So, we're doing some stuff with hockey. At the NBA, a little bit, we're a little soft. But one of these days, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I mean, also, I think the other thing we could probably do it. I mean, it's along the combat sports line. Pro wrestling guys love the podcast world. So who knows? Maybe we come across the right person. We could launch something with pro wrestling. Obviously, I don't know if you've seen it. What happened over the last few days? Former UFC fighters. Quentin Rampage Jackson, his son was at a wrestling event. One of the guys, I guess, thought he was like an actual wrestler, not a fighter's son. Smacked him in the head with a soda can. There was like conversations that were had. He winds up, one of the other wrestlers told him to get his receipt, so to speak. Winds up going in the ring, slams him, winds up punching him like 20 some odd times. People are all up in arms about this. He's probably going to be arrested at some point in time over the next handful of days or whatever. But sometimes the combat sports world mix, and it's not a good thing. You don't try to do a shoot kind of thing with a professional fighter. They don't understand. You're just trying to do something within the parameters of what you're used to. In those type of situations, the professional fighter handles it in the way that they best well. They don't like pulling punches, holding punches. They're throwing punches. So hopefully Roger Jackson isn't in too much trouble, but he does have the benefit of the doubt of having it be some type of kind of self-defense type of situation, but it didn't look good. His dad didn't back him up in any way, but it's funny how the wrestling world has a lot of stuff going on these days.
Well, see what you can do. Put them on Wrestling the People. We'd love to have him on here. You and I will put him in.
I'd love to be able to pick his brain. Hell, I'd love to get Rampage on. He's one of
All right.
He's known, from the Pride world, from the early days of the UFC. He has his own podcast. He does so many different things with the athletes. It'd be fun to catch up with Raj or his father. They are, icons in their own right in the combat sports world.
All right. Well, with that said, see what you can do with those individuals. Meanwhile, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you. Candy will take us the rest of the way. Just to know, immediately following this show here, we have 108 Baseball Talk, have a good crew, and we have a lot of content to get to. Go ahead, Steven.
Obviously, as we always do this, just type in my name, Steven Rochelle. It's real easy to find me, Facebook, Instagram. When it comes to some of the other apps right underneath there, the Sports Talk one, you can find me, on YouTube, on TikTok, on X. Really easy to find me, get a hold of me. I typically engage everyone. Even the little trollers that are just trying to get a reaction from you. They, you get at least something out of me when it comes to it. So I'm pretty engaging on all the platforms. So whatever your social media app of poison is, you can get in with me. And again, make sure you guys are tuning in. Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday mornings here on the South Florida Tribune for all what we're doing. obviously Sunday evenings with the Real and the Rare. Just make sure you're showing all our programs love here on the network, fellas.
Great stuff. All right, Katie, take us the rest of the way.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the industry and how it has evolved. Old school media versus new school media. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. Get your copy today. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Monday nights, we talk baseball, and on this show, you just never know what you're going to get. A lot of fighting and, all that good stuff. Tuesday nights is football. Wednesday mornings, you get NFL. Wednesday nights, you just never know what you're going to be getting, so you got to tune in to find out. Thursday nights on Sports Rep, we talk a little hockey a lot of times, and we also talk. That's another one of our shows you just never know. So again, tune in to find out. If you want to advertise or sponsor any of our shows, call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. One last thing, if you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, click it like a sheriff, and then turn on your notifications so you're notified when any of those good programs go on. We just posted yesterday. Steven did a show, and then we also posted. Scott did a 9-minute interview with none other than Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly. So go check it out. And there's all kinds of other great interviews up there, shows up there. But make sure you turn that notification on. And then, hey, we always love the comments, so keep the comments coming in the comments section. Back to you, Scott.
All right, let's go to Sean real quick. Hey, guys,
Our guest for Sunday's already hopped in the chat, and he's letting his opinion know. I think a lot of people want to hear from Raja right now. It's we want to get his side of the story. There's obviously something we're missing. There's a lot of people, obviously you get your knuckleheads that are like, the guy that did it is a Marine. He's got PT, he's been in the armed forces. He has PTSD. This is how he deals with it. People were upset about what happened. We want to hear Raja's side of it. Did he feel like he had to go that far? There was a video that came out where one of the wrestlers would kind of told him, go give him a receipt, man. So there's a lot of moving parts with that. I just hope, regardless, one, the gentleman who was on the receiving ends of Raj's vengeance there is okay. He has no sustained damage, because anyone who knows, like, when you go out and you're still catching blows, that's not good for your head, man. So let's hope his long-term health is in a good place, and we just get Raja's side of the story. Everyone's they're banning him from that. People are calling him an animal. I don't feel that's true. That he's this uncontrollable person. Listen, when you're that age and you're trying to make a name for yourself, you do anything to kind of get yourself out there. Some people are calling this a work. It's staged. That he wasn't really hurt as bad as he was. They were playing it up. Listen, man, that was probably an old UFC slogan, as real as it gets. As for pro wrestling goes, that was absolutely as real as it gets. Hopefully, Raja doesn't get too much trouble legally, and our service veteran didn't get his bell rung too hard.
Hey, Sean, just to mention here, I hope you're a subscriber, but if you're not, please subscribe to our channel. And yes, Steven will definitely work on it. If there's anybody who's a harder worker in this business, find on. Trying to get Steve Rice shelves. We need to put guys like him on a Xerox machine, because we need more like this guy. So there you go. There's your Xerox reference for the night. So, Sean, thanks for your input in the chat room. Much appreciated. look forward to having you in the chat room on future shows. Just so you know, we do the Professor and the People as the first of our doubleheader. It precedes 108 Inches Baseball Talk. So great stuff, Sean. Great stuff, Steven. With that said, we will get ready to sign off and do baseball. But Steven will be back tomorrow night. We'll talk a little bit more Dana White and then some on Inside the Fiction tomorrow. So on behalf of myself and Steven Reichel, we're getting ready to sign off. 108 Inches Baseball Talk is next. Steven and I will see you tomorrow and with a few more people. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks a lot for all the input in the chat room. And a special shout out to Peak One Sports Network, one of our best partners out there. They're very great when it comes to promoting our stuff. And I'll tell you one thing, Ashton Nix, who's the owner of the company, is classic. He's one of my good friends, and I hope one of these days I can get him on a show. You talk about a really super nice guy. Ashton Nix gets it done. And God bless Ashton and everybody else that appeared tonight. All right, that does it. We'll see. Steven and I will see you tomorrow. Good night. Baseball is next.